Hey there, fans of brotherly love wrestling. It is I, Vik Dalishus.
Philly's own, the Mecca here.
It is the real McCoy, J.D.X. Justin D. Xavier. And
it's your man, CD, the fallen angel, Christopher Daniels.
Hello, boys and girls. This is your old friend RJ City.
Hey there, brotherly love wrestling. Bill Carr here.
Hey everyone, this is two-time guest Wheeler Yuta.
Two bozos from Philadelphia flapping their gums about pro wrestling this, pro wrestling that.
Which is not that unique in the grand scheme of things yet.
You are in for a treat because you're tuned in to Brotherly Love Wrestling.
Philadelphia, are you ready?
No! They said, are you ready?
This is Brotherly Love Wrestling Podcast, your first stop for everything professional wrestling. So sit back and enjoy wrestling talk at its finest with your hosts, Larry Hall and Joe Corrado.
Welcome, everybody, to Brotherly Love Wrestling. And on the show this week, we have a man that not only put on one of the coolest, most awesome independent shows I've ever seen, but now wrestled in it, took on a tag team that he's had a feud with for a long time now and got a little bit of revenge, him and Hale did. Mr. Vik Dalishus. Vik, welcome back. Good to see you again.
Nice to see you. I get to wear my ACW colors here. First time I'm wearing something that's not a now shirt on your show.
I like the red. We were saying that when we saw Melissa wearing it at the event. We were like, oh man, there's red. We like the red better than we like the black.
I got red ones just for my family. And the idea was, well, not just my family, some of the production guys too, but I really wanted to be able to, like, when I looked out into the crowd, see my family, because a red shirt is easy to pick out at a wrestling show. There's not too many of them. There's a lot of black and pretty much black t-shirts at wrestling shows.
Yeah.
So it actually worked. I was able to spot my kids pretty easily, and it worked out good because my daughter was incredibly upset that I had gone through a table. So she was in tears the entire time. And I was able to call her over to the guardrail and give her a hug and tell her I was okay. So, but yeah, so these are, if anybody wants a red one, they should let us know on the website. We can put an order in for some red ones too. We're going to have an entire merch shop going up on the thisisacw.com. So you'll be able to get t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, pins, stickers, posters, like all stuff like that. So we're gonna have a full merch shop available very soon. Should be done this week.
Nice. And that's the one thing. I mean, obviously we talked to you a little bit after the show, but now that January 4th has come and passed, and obviously you're already looking forward to May 17th, but now that it's all done, the first event is finally done, and actually this Sunday, February 2nd, Triller TV, we have the airing of Poughkeepsie Rumble. I mean, I can't wait to actually sit at home and hear the commentary and see the camera angles. But now that that's all done, now are you going to sit and watch and see how this looks? Have you seen cuts of this and what this night feels like now that it's all over?
Yeah, it's very cool to, like, see the final product for sure, because as you're a little bit of, like, inside baseball here, I guess, if we want to talk a little bit like that, is when we were back, I was producing the show the entire time that it was going on. So I was right behind the video production team pretty much as it was going on. And there's different screens up with all of the different cameras. And it's hard to tell which one, because the director is calling, all right, camera 3, you're going, and camera 2, and calling between the different shots. So it's tough to tell which one was the main recorded feed. So about a week after the show, we were able to get a version of it to watch, and Hale and I were just not incredibly happy with the first version that we saw, because there was a lot of cuts that were missing things. So we actually had to go back in and have them re-edit the show to put in the other camera angles that showed more of the action. So it's kind of things that you learn the first time that you're doing this, and we won't ever make that mistake again. We also didn't have an earpiece between the ring announcer and the commentators. So there was a couple times where the commentators and the ring announcer were talking over each other, and we don't ever want that to happen. So we're going to make sure that that's not a thing. And we also want to make sure that the commentators have headsets. We thought it would be cool to have them sitting at the table with microphones, because it was just like a kind of like a rollerball version of commentators. I don't know if you know what that is.
Yeah,
Rollerball
I know what you're talking about.
stuff, but it's quite apparent after the fact to make sure that we have them with really good headsets, so that the audience at home can hear everything that they're saying. Not that they can't now, but we want to make sure that it's even clearer and more precise for the next one. So it's just like a couple of small things, really, that to us, because this was our baby, we were kind of picking it apart. We really wanted to make sure that when it went out there to everybody, they were going to see the best version of that night that we could possibly put out there, because we had such positive feedback and so much buzz really around the show for what we were able to produce, that we didn't want to put something out there that was going to be picked apart, because it wouldn't be a good reflection of what the night was. So we have a great video production team that was able to go in and get the right camera angles, and I'm very excited for the final version that we were able to send to Triller and have them put up there. That's going to go live on February 2nd. So that's a really cool partnership. They reached out to us, which was even cooler. We weren't sure what direction we were going to go in with releasing the show after the fact. So having Triller be so excited to have us be a part of their team was a really best possible scenario, because there's already a built-in audience there. There's already people who are looking for pro wrestling, and they have great partners already with AEW and GCW and OVW. So we're excited to be on that team, really, because ACW is going to be able to provide to the Triller Plus subscription service. So when you have Triller Plus, you'll be able to get all things ACW. And we think it really enhances that subscription there, because we're going to be putting out a lot of content in the next few months. And all of that's going to be up there on the Triller TV Plus. So it's really cool how this has kind of evolved into that. But there hasn't really been much of a chance to breathe, to be honest with you. Afterwards, it's been, when as soon as the show was over, we got to be happy about it that night, and we were pretty stoked that we pulled this off, and it was a really great event. Everybody was pretty excited about it, but then it really went right into planning what the next thing was going to be for May 17th, and making sure that the video got done so that it could get released, and then refining whatever mistakes that we might have had or things that we want to improve upon, because you never do anything perfect, and especially when it's your first show, there's a lot of things to break down and pick apart, and what you want to have better for the next time. So we are probably our own worst critics, and we want to make sure that the product that gets out there is going to be the best. So the challenge becomes, how do you top the first one? Because if we had a sold out MJN center and we had everybody going, "This is so incredible, this is awesome," and all that stuff, how do you follow that up? So that's become the challenge, and challenge accepted, really. We're pretty stoked about what we started to put together for May 17th, and we were able to have Matt Cardona live on the screen and issue a challenge to your previous guest, Richard Holiday, for his newly won ACW Heavyweight Championship. And that was something we really wanted for the fans that were there that night, to see that we were long-term planning this, that we didn't just we'll see how it all shakes out. Like, we've actually put a lot of thought into this, a lot of effort. We've thought down the road, and securing Matt for that booking was top priority for us. We knew where we wanted to go. We really wanted Matt for January 4th,
Okay.
and it just possible originally. So we knew that it was something that we wanted to put together for after the fact, and knowing that there's actually some legitimate bad blood between Holiday and Matt Cardona is even more fun, because it makes it a little more personal, and it makes it a little more unpredictable, because they're both going to bring their best that night, and I'm excited to see how it actually turns out. It's, one's begging for them to get his flowers, and the other one called. I saw Cardona called him Mr. Boring yesterday. So
Yes. Yeah.
it's gonna be fun to watch. Really can't wait to see what the final result of that match is gonna be.
Yeah, I gotta say there was, like we told you, we started out in our seats, and then we kind of went upstairs to the very top, and we were like, you know what, we kind of like seeing the vantage point of the entire arena. Like, they're obviously sitting down low. I think we were 6 rows back, and it was great seats. Don't get me wrong, but standing up top in the balcony and watching everything and getting the reaction of people. I mean, even when we come to the ECW arena and go down South Philly, we stand back by the snack station and we watch the event from there. We don't even sit down, because it's just, there's something about having that vantage point of the crowd in front of you and getting to get the reaction and feel it. And there were a couple times where I know one was during your tag match, and they started chanting, "This is awesome," and I'm getting chills thinking about it now. I was like, "This is probably everything you guys wanted and could dream about, is awesome championship wrestling in your match." Them chanting, "This is awesome," like that. You couldn't have wrote it any better. I mean, and then, like you said, with Matt Cardona, the audible gasp when his face came up from that crowd, because no one was expecting it, and Holiday's celebrating, and then just him popping up, and you could hear the crowd gasp. It was so cool. It was like such a cool reaction. And then, of course, now it's hype. It's, oh my God, this is happening. The next one, we're getting Cardona coming in to face Holiday for the next one. I mean, like you said, everything probably in your eyes wasn't perfect, but by the end of the night, I don't know if there were anybody walking out unhappy or be like, "Oh, well, they could have like, you couldn't ask for more as a fan." I think from start to finish, you had a good mix. You had, I mean, from the different stars that you brought in, even you had Brian Myers, you had the Patriot, like different things thrown in there.
Yep.
Obviously, the Sandman, when his music hit, crowd went insane to see the Sandman. I mean, it was just, there was so many moments, and like you said, you guys lived up to those surprises, and there was those little moments and little touches that just, it made the night, well, maybe not perfect, but as close to perfect as you could probably get from a fan's point of view, anyway.
Yeah, there's nothing like that energy inside the building when you catch everybody off guard just a little bit, and you give the people what they want. You give them. And a lot of the most fun thing is when you give everybody what they want and they didn't know they wanted it. And that's one of the really fun things about what we've been able to do. And it's one of our favorite things about wrestling, is that we've always loved that when we've gone as fans and been a part of shows where you got that moment. Like, I remember at one of the House of Hardcore shows when we were in Philadelphia, and Rey Mysterio showed up. And I remember, literally, I was standing right behind the curtain, and all of a sudden Rey Mysterio just like walks past me, and his music hits and he goes out, and I'm like, "Are you serious? Like, this is amazing. How did we pull this off? Like, this is so cool." And it's like creating those kind of moments, and that kind of like energy is catching lightning in a bottle for sure. But I do want to talk about like that first "This is awesome" chant when it was in our match, the tables match. And I remember I was on the floor. I had just gotten hit with something, and I was on the floor, and I had just started to make my way up on the apron. And they started the "This is awesome" chant, and the biggest smile comes across my face because it was everything that we wanted it to be. We wanted that chant. We wanted that we didn't want to like pander to it or try to like lead anybody in that direction. We wanted it to be um, a genuine thing. And to start the show, everybody was chanting ACW.
Yes.
And okay, cool, ACW. If that's what they want to chant, that's it. But then to get the very genuine "This is awesome" chant was everything that we were really shooting for and everything that we really wanted out of that match. And I got to give a lot of credit to everybody else that was in that match because it was uh, a real piece of art, if you ask me. We were able to put together something that, through violence, created something really special. And um, my hat's off to the other guys that were in there because everybody brought their best. And the when I backdropped Danny Moff over the top rope through the table and it shattered into a million pieces. Danny Moff's been around wrestling a really long time, and he's not a 20-year-old kid who has to take that bump. And he did it, and he did it like an absolute pro and a superstar. And it is a highlight moment for that match because to see a 300-pounder take a big backflip over the top rope through a wooden table on the floor is something incredibly awe-inspiring. So, and the table ended up whacking him right in the face, and he had blood dripping out of his eye the entire rest of the match. I don't know if that anybody could really see, but he acted like it didn't even happen. You know, like it was nothing. So those guys, they brought it, and we're not done with that chapter, which is also the coolest part, is that we're going to have a second, another part of the chapter of that story coming up at the next show. So I can't get completely into all those details yet, but that fight was so good that I don't think we can end on that. It has to go up another level, and we're going to take it up another notch. So
I was going to ask you that if that was kind of the blow off. Like I said, I know you guys have been feuding for a while in ISPW and obviously now in ACW. So all right, so we're getting another match. I like that. I can't taking it up a notch is okay. That's a scary thought with you for taking it up a notch, but I'm in for it. I can't wait. Also with May 17th. Like you said, is there is there possibility of tag team titles? Is that maybe a thing? We're waiting a little longer.
I don't want to let too much out of the bag. I really like to make our announcement as a group, but we will be crowning new champions in several different things that night. So it's I know we're gonna have a series of titles, not just one new champion. There'll be a series of them that night. So by the end of the night on May 17th, we'll have an entire championship group of people that you'll be able to find. So it's going to create some fun divisions and create some like pretty cool excitement around it. We wanted to make sure the first show was really all about the heavyweight championship, and we wanted that Rumble to be built around that. And now we are going to expand the entire thing because there's a demand for ACW, and we are going to try and be around for a little while. So you're only as good as your last show, and then you got to have another one. So these shows are of monumental proportions. Like we're an indie company, but we have a pretty high budget, and it's a lot to make all of this happen. Like that video wall that we had there, and the stage, and it's all stuff that costs a lot of money, and you have to make sure that we don't have any angel investors. We don't have anybody that's throwing money at this. We don't have anybody that's behind it. It's me and Hale and our partners with the local radio station, and that's it. That's how we're making this happen. So
You
there
don't
are
have a
no
billionaire dad bankrolling you? That's not
no,
happening? Oh, okay.
no.
Just making sure.
It's also one of the things that makes it so genuine about what we're doing is that we are proving that you can do this if you're smart about it, that you can actually do this and do it at a high level, and you don't need to throw money at stuff all the time to like make it happen. We've been very fortunate that throughout our career we've built really great relationships with a lot of people, and that we've been able to be good people to others, and others have been good to us. And through those relationships, we're able to like kind of make something special happen. And that video wall thing is an idea that we've had for a really long time. And to make that come to fruition, I remember where I was standing when they first turned it on, and we saw the level of like how clear it was and how like legitimate it was, like for an independent wrestling show where we're literally just two guys trying to make this happen, was like high five worthy. We're like, yeah, we got this. Like this, pun intended, of course. But like all the branding and stuff that we did, like we had the guardrails all had our logo on it, the turnbuckles. We had banners across the building so that when where cameras could catch our logo at different spots. And we wanted to do it like you couldn't tell it was just a couple of guys trying to throw together a wrestling show. We wanted it to be legitimate. We took a lot of risk and we took a lot of chances to make it happen. And we were very fortunate that the fans in the Hudson Valley and Poughkeepsie and even as far as Philadelphia came out to support. And that's what it's all about, because I think that a lot of the local fans and everybody who could hear our promotions that we were doing and hear us on the radio shows and hear us on Busted Open and stuff like that could tell that we're pretty regular guys, and that we have a dream of making something out of nothing, and that we want to bring quality pro wrestling to the area. So people get behind that story and they can tell that it's from the heart. Like we're not doing this to get rich, we're definitely not in some way better financial position because of how our first show came across. We've taken every dollar that we made and we're investing it right back into this next show. So there was no like big fat check at the end of it or anything like that. It's not, but that's how you grow a business. You don't draw off your business until you're financially capable of supporting it by itself. So we're building a business, and I think that the more we do this, the more refined we can get with making it really cool. But for now, like it's been very awesome the amount of support that we got and the amount of people that wanted to help out and be a part of it. It's all like very humbling also.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing. There was things throughout the night that were surprising me, and then even afterwards, you guys have your own theme song. This is ACW. I was like, they have their own theme song. Like that's pretty cool. Like I heard it, I'm like, wait a second. It kind of caught me by surprise. I'm like, wait a second, does that say this is ACW? Like, that's really cool.
And it's catchy.
Yeah. It really is. It is definitely an earworm. Like it gets caught immediately.
Yeah. That's from our partnership with the radio station. They were able to make that come together, and like we even had like a couple versions of it that we were able to listen to, and they even made one just for me and Hale that we didn't end up using. But yeah, and that's like another example of the little things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like having something like that separates you from everybody else that doesn't think of those things. So we wanted to have like our own branded thing, like a real company would.
Mm-hmm.
So having that theme song was, and it was playing before the show too, but I just don't know if everybody was able to pick up on like the fact that was the theme song.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really cool part of the whole process, and that's just a benefit of being partners with a big time radio station in the area.
Mm-hmm. So May 17th is now called it's Aftershock, name of the event, correct?
Yeah, every time there's a big earthquake that shatters the norm or shakes things up a little bit, you always have an aftershock. So that's why we went with that name. It seems very apropos, very fitting that we're going to try and match the energy and the excitement and the star power that we had on our first show, the Poughkeepsie Rumble. So um, the graphic so far, it looks really awesome. The Cardona and Holiday, the logo stuff has come out very professional. It looks really good, and we're proud of it. So uh, I'm pretty excited, and it's crazy. I was just thinking about it today that it's January 28th, and we're still like we got like 3 months, and we're already like we're locked. We've locked in talent. We've locked in like a lot of the stuff that we're doing. We've already like got a lot of things really like all set in stone. And things can change. Obviously, injuries could happen. Things could come up and stuff like that. But we're locked in on this. We're ready to go. And I think that knowing what to expect out of a live show and how it went the last time helps us be more prepared this time. And the more we can be prepared and have everything already like ready to go for the next one, I think is a benefit to us. So we will not disappoint anybody. That's for sure.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Like, do you think you're further along for this second show at a quicker pace than maybe what you were for the January show?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're much further along with because everybody kind of knows their their job and what needs to be accomplished and how we need to handle things, and having content now that we're able to go back to and use to promote is going to be a big help to us. And we got pictures. We had some really great photographers at the last show that were able to take promo photos as well as live action shots and stuff that we can use for promotions that we didn't have access to on the first show because we didn't have anything yet. So yeah, I think we're a lot further along. The one place where we've like really tried to catch up a little bit is our website. We had a plan in place to make the website like really awesome, and then one of our partners had something going on with their family that was pretty serious, and they had to take a step back for a little bit, and we had to bring somebody else on board to like really finish that project. So it had us behind just a little bit on where we'd like to see the website at, but we're going full steam ahead, and it'll be done most likely this week. Tickets go on sale on Friday, which is really Friday is the first day that the tickets will be available. You can get them at thisisacw.com. And I wouldn't wait. If there's a place that you want to be and sit at, then I would make sure that you get your tickets. There's not a bad seat in the house, though, which is, to Larry's point, he was standing all the way up at the top and checking the whole entire venue out. So even the seat that's all the way up at the very top of the bleachers is still a great seat because there is not a bad seat in the house. So if right exactly where you wanted to sit isn't available, don't worry. There's still plenty of great seats that are going to be available and stuff like that. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing the interest in Cardona and Holiday because that's all we've announced so far, and that is on purpose. We've just announced that match to see how it does ticket sales wise.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like the kind of, especially that main event. Obviously, it's your heavyweight title. Like, obviously, the reason that you built that show, that first show around it, is you want that. And not only that, a name like Matt Cardona, who is the indie god, who, his now the belt collector, if you want to call him that at this point. But yeah, I think anybody who is in that area who was at the first one or maybe didn't get a chance to get to that first one and was hearing all the buzz from that and gets to maybe witness it this Sunday on Triller is I don't see how, if you're a wrestling fan, if you weren't there or even if you were, how you want to miss out on an event like this, even just with two names because of what was delivered. And like I said, on Sunday, if you don't know what was delivered and you just completely ignored social media and everything that was on it, you can see on Sunday, and then that would be a good selling point. It's a good thing they go on Friday. That way, maybe after Sunday, you have some new interest of people that weren't there that will interest them into buying tickets for May 17th.
Yeah, that's really what we're hoping for. We want to everybody who's already been paying attention and a fan already has access to the tickets on Friday, and then hopefully we create some new fans that get a chance to see it for the very first time on Trailer TV. Um, and just because we've only announced one match doesn't mean it's going to be less of a star-studded show. We have a lot of things planned, a lot of surprises, and a lot of really big talent that are going to be a part of the event. You have to take a look at the wrestling world right now as it stands on its own, because it's a really interesting time in pro wrestling. You have WWE that has a lockdown on a lot of talent that is maybe was previously available but isn't available anymore, or some up and comers that would have been like worthy of being on a show like this that aren't available anymore. Because you also have a group like TNA who is selling out big venues. Like they had a sellout crowd in Dallas. They've done really well with their pay-per-views, and you also have AEW, who has scooped up everybody else that would be possibly available to do independent shows. And a lot of the guys that work for those major companies are in pretty big storylines and doing independent wrestling shows. Yes, there's money to be made, but there's also, you're putting your body on the line, and injuries happen, things can happen, and it's a gamble sometimes for guys to want to take independent wrestling show dates when they're in a major storyline on television. So it has been definitely an interesting part creatively to make sure that we have something that's interesting to the hardcore wrestling fans, but we also need to attract the average person. So somebody who's walking by a poster, they need to have a recognizable face on there, somebody that they've seen on television, somebody that they're familiar with from different eras of pro wrestling, somebody that they've maybe seen before live, or somebody that they want to see. So you have to factor that all in when you're making a show, the level of which that we're doing with ACW. So it's really important to us that we have our finger on the pulse of who is a talent across the country that is making waves. And in that same respect, GCW has a very busy schedule. GCW is not they're using guys, and they're booked almost every weekend. They got something going on. So guys are already committed to those bookings. So it's definitely finding our niche place in the pro wrestling world with our blend of creative and the talent that we have available to us. So, and not disappointing anybody, because that's super important. And I think I've probably said that a couple times now, but that is on our mind constantly, is making sure that the fans, when they leave there, are in a buzz about what they hear and what's going to happen next. So keeping everybody on their toes is a really important part of running a wrestling show.
Well, I mean, after that first event, like I said, you definitely just didn't disappoint. You delivered like that. I mean, obviously I had two other people with me that could vouch for that. Just as random wrestling fans, we did not walk out disappointed in the least. And everyone that we were walking past and listening to as they were walking out was the same thing. So, I mean, May 17th can't come soon enough. I know maybe not for you guys. You still have shit to do. But we can't wait as fans. We can't wait. I'm glad I did not know for some reason. I don't know how I missed that tickets were available on Friday, but I'm glad we know now so we can get our tickets. I'm sure I'll have to talk to Joe, and he'll have to call the actual ticket office so he doesn't bitch about the fees on Ticketmaster this time. So he has no excuse.
Well, I would. What day is this going to air?
So, well, today's what, Tuesday? So probably by tomorrow night, Wednesday night. So,
okay,
yeah.
Anybody who came to ACW the first time that bought their tickets on Ticketmaster should make sure they check their emails, because there'll be a little surprise in there for everybody that bought their tickets and we have their email address. There's going to be a surprise coming to your email address. So if you're a fan and you've been paying attention and you bought your tickets online, there'll be a little surprise in your email. So check it out.
Okay. All right. Great. So one more thing, because we're 4 days out from the Royal Rumble, one of the biggest cards on the WWE scale, and one of my favorite, and I know Joe's favorite pay-per-views. Are you and the kids going to be watching the Royal Rumble on Saturday?
Oh, dude, absolutely. Today's his birthday, and already asked me who you think's going to win the Royal Rumble, probably like 4 or 5 different times. And when I talked to him earlier this morning, we were talking about the fallout from Monday Night Raw and all the things that happened just this last week on television. So I think they're doing a really great job of making it a can't miss event. The Royal Rumble always is a can't miss event, but I think a really good job of making it unpredictable for which way the story is going to go. Who's going to be challenging for that championship at WrestleMania? Like that's a huge deal. And then to see Cody and Kevin, that is at a fever pitch right now. That is, Shawn Michaels delivering that super kick on Saturday night's main event, and Kevin Owens never deals with being embarrassed very well. He always responds violently. So I'm excited to see how it goes and where it turns out. But WWE is doing incredible business right now, really incredible business. And I was listening to Mark Henry talk the other day when he was at SmackDown, and he said he had asked them for a couple comp tickets for some family, and they're like, there are no comp tickets. And that's kind of a testament to where they are business-wise, where they don't even have any extra tickets to give to Hall of Famers or talents or anybody like that. So as far as who's going to win the Royal Rumble, I don't. It's tough to make an actual pick, but if I had to go with one person, I'm going to go with John Cena, because I think it'll come down to CM Punk and John Cena, and I think that John Cena, with the era that we are in and it being his final year, is going to do something special with it. It's not lost on him the matches that he could be having in the last run that he has here. And we're, as fans, lucky to have John Cena being a part of it, to be very honest with you, because we're going to get to see some first-time matches, maybe some rematches, and the story that can be built around him as a WrestleMania main eventer is, probably the last time we'll get that. But on the side of it, you have CM Punk, who's literally, his story about why he came back to the WWE is to be a WrestleMania main eventer. So does he let that opportunity slip through his fingers, or does he do something about it? So it's very intriguing, and they have a lot of my interest. All the guys that are in it, I think we're going to see something really special, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Who's your pick?
See, I'm back and forth. I think Cena's a very obvious pick. I mean, I see why, but I mean, it's hard to pick against Cena, honestly. And we were talking about this last week as well. But I'm kind of leaning towards a CM Punk, because I feel like John Cena is John Cena, and you can really lead him any other way. But I'm so torn, and because I don't think I've seen a Rumble with so many legitimate Rumble winners. Like, it's just, you can see a good 8 to 12 guys who you'd be like, yeah, I can see them going to Mania. I can see that. Like, you can see all these different things. And I think this might be one of the first years to where I'm more excited for the guys that I know are in the Rumble, aside from the surprise entrance. Like, oh, who's it going to be this year? I'm more excited all right, I want to see, of the people announced, who's going to win. So, which doesn't happen very often with WWE. They got usually rely on those surprises. But this year, I mean, it's so tough to pick a winner. But if I don't know, I guess gun to my head, I'm saying Punk.
Even a guy like Logan Paul, you can see that the machine could get behind somebody like Logan Paul, especially with the attention that the Paul brothers garner outside of WWE. There would be a lot of attention on him winning something like that or being in a main event. Uh, Last night, watching Seth Rollins and Logan Paul interact, excuse me, is there's money there too. Like seeing those guys go at it, there's a lot there. And Gunther has been a fighting champion. The fact that he can nail that double power bomb pretty much out of nowhere and with ease, and it is a match ender for sure. Like he drops the head twice right in a row, and that's the end of it. So who's going to be able to beat him? And they whipped out a stat the other day that for the amount of time that Gunther's been in WWE, he's been a champion for like 800 something days or something like that, which is just wild when you think about his UK run and his Intercontinental run and the heavyweight championship and all that stuff. He's one of those guys who's going to be around a really long time and is a generational talent, if you ask me. So seeing where all these stories go is really the fun part, and that's why I love where wrestling is right now. It's really awesome, and even watching all of the other shows, like Joe Hendry finally becoming the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. I believe. I don't know if you believe, but
I
I believe.
believe.
I was very happy to see him finally get the acknowledgement of being the champion. And his match with Nick was fantastic. I thought they did a really great job, and I'm super into it. And then on AEW, like Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay, they don't have to be doing moonsaults off of balconies and light trusses. They're just as into it and like trying to get their people excited for their matches, and everybody in my opinion is doing great business right now, and it's a really exciting time to be a wrestling fan and to be involved in the wrestling business. So
Yeah, I agree. I think there are things on our show we tend to be very negative about AEW, and
I know.
that's not lost on me. It's not like I ignore it or I don't see it because I do. Especially my partner is more negative than I am, but I've tried more recently to watch AEW, and if there are things that interest me, I'll just watch them. I don't want to be the person knocking AEW just to knock AEW. There are things they do I clearly are not for me, or it's just not to my taste, and I don't like. So I'm done talking about that. I'm done knocking that because it's just not healthy to talk about negative things and harp on negative things. But that segment that you were talking about with Kenny and Osprey, I thought was really well done. I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was fun. I really like Osprey in the ring. I really like Kenny in the ring. And that interests me a little bit. There are things that they're doing that I can do without, but that's what fast forward is for and what my DVR is for. But yeah, there are things that I'm trying to I'm trying to stay more positive about the positive and not focus on that negative stuff because there is good things that AEW does, despite what my co-host may say.
Well, it's easy to point out all the things that don't happen because there's a giant roster there of guys that you would love to see doing all of the things that you can come up with exciting in your head. But when you focus on what they are doing and like what's actually being put out there, I think that the Hurt Syndicate being the tag team champions is great business. And I think that it was great that Private Party had their run and they had their chance. They've been there since the beginning, but you have bona fide, legitimate, badass superstars in Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin that can be putting on incredible tag team matches and can wrestle anybody in any way. So there's ample opportunity to like capitalize on that. You have Edge or the Cope, who's wrestling at the same level he was 5 years ago, which is as this is a young man's business and he's still putting himself out there to try and bring guys up. And to me, that's pretty cool. And as much as I don't really like the name, I can see why he went with that. When you see his explanation for like the rated R superstar, Adam Copeland is a lot to say.
Yeah.
You kind of get it. So to me, he's always edged. I think to a lot of wrestling fans, he'll always be edged no matter what you call him and how he's billed on TV. And I think that AEW has a really great opportunity with the Ring of Honor brand to make that something special. And if they can lock down a streaming outlet for it, it gives a lot of people who need work a place to work. And they have so many guys that are under contract that are just literally chomping at the bit to get out there and perform and show everybody what they've got. That they need a place like a Ring of Honor to succeed. So you can't fit everybody on the TV show. You can only do so much. I happen to really like the MJF and Jeff Jarrett back and forth. I thought that was good stuff, and I love when they make it personal because it just draws my attention right in there. And they say the thing that you're like, oh shit, I can't believe he said that. So there are positives, and you do have to find the positives in it. And when it's not your cup of tea, it's just not your cup of tea. But we need the more wrestling companies that are around, the better, because there's a lot of guys who deserve an opportunity. There's a lot of guys that need the work, and more places to work is better for everybody in wrestling. So that's my stance on it.
I agree. Yeah, no, I agree. That's one thing that we tend to get away from a little bit with the negativity. And every now and then I hear it and I think we probably go a little too far. But but I mean, other than that, yeah, no, I think wrestling in itself, whether you talk about the indies, whether you talk about TNA and AEW, WWE, and everything that's going on, we are incredibly blessed to have the amount of wrestling at our fingertips. And actually, because of Genesis and because of how great it was, I actually just signed up for TNA Plus because I was like, I've been putting it off and trying to see clips here and there. And then I watched that pay-per-view and I'm like, I want to see the TV product. Like now I just have to see it. So like now I'm able to watch TNA on a regular basis and watch it on their app. And like it's just more good wrestling. What's that?
The Hardys versus the Rascals was awesome.
Oh, that was so good. So good.
Raxium against the Rascals the next night. Dude, it's great stuff, honestly. Like I love the NXT crossover with TNA because again, there's all these guys that need the work and they need the exposure, they need the extra the challenge to like wrestle different people and be in a different light. And maybe one place is a little less pressure than the other, or some perform better under the big pressure, and you see like stars rise when they get in those situations. So I think WWE is really smart with jumping all over that TNA partnership because they will then have access to these talents that are only going to get better and only going to be around longer. So they'll have access to footage of them before they got to WWE. And there's so much stuff like with the Dudleys and AJ Styles and people that had a big run, Kurt Angle in TNA, that footage can now be used in a WWE capacity too. So
yes,
good for everybody, honestly.
Yeah,
but don't call him Perk Angle though; he gets pretty upset.
Yeah, I saw that interview. I was actually listening to it like right as it like kind of went viral.
Funniest thing was Trent was on Twitter and he goes, "You people just realized that it's offensive to call him Perk Angle now? like who would call him? Like, what's wrong with you guys?"
Yeah, that was, but there was a lot of wrestling fans that would refer to him as that. I mean, it was what he was known as at TNA, and not that it was right, but I remember hearing that countless times of people referring to him as that in tweets and posts and all kinds of stuff.
Wild, wild. What? But let's talk about the guy's lowest point in his life and make a joke out of it. It sounds like really high quality stuff right there. That's what the internet. Right?
Yeah, and then think that he should like it as well.
Yeah. No, he's walking around with a Perk Angle shirt on, with a big old white pill on his back. Oh, it's true. They're taken back. They're like, "Oh, he doesn't like that name? Oh my gosh, I can't imagine." Jeez.
You mean the time where he almost lost his wife and his family, and they almost left him, and like
when his addiction was the worst, he was taking like 40 pills a day. You mean he doesn't want to talk about that or be remembered that way? Nuts. Weird world.
Well, Vic, as always, thank you so much. And one thing I meant to talk to you or tell you that it kind of hit me. This is episode 350. We had you on for episode 300. So exactly 50 episodes. We're at from 300 to 350. And we absolutely did not plan it to be this way, but you end up on another milestone episode of Brotherly Love Wrestling. So thank you as always for the support, and always thank you for talking with us. We really appreciate you being on the show with me.
Thank you for the support. You know, you're one of our sponsors for ACW. You're one of our preferred podcasts, and I think it's really cool that you're actually up to episode 350. That's 350 weeks, basically, of you doing this and providing insight to people, the quality of the guests you've had, and the way that I've been able to watch you guys grow as interviewers has been really cool to watch. Also, you guys do a great job, and I'm proud of you guys as friends of mine. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So look, we will be talking, I'm sure, as May 17th comes up. We're definitely talking, trying to get more details out of you and Hale, and as the matches obviously get announced, we'll be talking about them here on the show as well. So we can't wait. Like you said, I'm gonna have to get on Joe to get those tickets on Friday morning, so we can get our tickets for May 17th to be up there. And but thanks again. It was great talking to you. Great hearing about the night. That was so awesome to be in attendance. So we can't wait for May 17th. And so we'll be talking to you very soon.
A lot, man. This is ACW.com.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for watching, listening. Also, before we go, I want to let you know, look out next week. I have a show announcement, guest announcement. You may know him as Dominic Dijakovic. Now he is Dijak. He will be joining us on Brotherly Love Wrestling next week on the show. So look out for that. And then, and everyone enjoy the Royal Rumble. Thank you for watching and listening. And we'll be talking to you very soon. Don't take any shit from anybody. See ya.